The business was actually started by my father and his partner in 2003. It was not on my radar at all. When I graduated college, I had a finance degree and an economics minor, and I had dreams to be a stockbroker. Imagine that. Funny how life turns the tables. I was working with a mortgage company, and in 2009, the economy dropped. Everything changed. Banks started going out of business, and our parent company laid off about 25,000 people. So my brother-in-law at the time talked me and my father into working together. So I gave
Hmm.
up a six-figure job income to come work for his little small town paint company at $15 an hour. So that was an eye-opening experience. And 16 years later, I was able to retire my father and retire his partner. And I've been the sole owner for about 4 years now. And sky's the limit now.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Builder's Bible. I'm joined by my friend Chris Bryan, who I know through Rise Up Kings. Chris has a really interesting business model. He helps with military housing with his construction company. And he actually is in my old stomping grounds of North Carolina, so I'm excited to talk to him about that. Chris, my question is always the same. Tell us a bit of your story. How did you start the business, and what's your guys' primary focus?
The business was actually started by my father and his partner in 2003. It was not on my radar at all. When I graduated college, I had a finance degree and an economics minor, and I had dreams to be a stockbroker. Imagine that. Funny how life turns the tables. I was working with a mortgage company. Um, and in 2009, the economy dropped, everything changed. Banks started going out of business, and our parent company laid off about 25,000 people. My brother-in-law at the time talked me and my father into working together. So I gave
Hmm.
up a six-figure job income to come work for his little uh, small town paint company at $15 an hour. So that was an eye-opening experience. And 16 years later, I was able to retire my father and retire his partner. And I've been the sole owner for about 4 years now. And sky's the limit now.
That's a cool story. I like that. So, and it must have been tough jumping from corporate. But what were you doing before that? Like,
So I
what
was in the
was your
banking industry. Yeah, I was a sales
banking?
manager for a mortgage company. We originated our own loans, did that whole thing. It would have been easy for me to transfer over into like a Bank of America at like a VP level.
Hmm.
But the market was so volatile at that time, it just didn't make sense. I was looking for a
Were you pretty
change.
skilled already, Chris, with like construction type stuff? Like, were you
No, no, not at
okay?
all.
So you had to learn all this stuff.
Yeah, so that's the funny part. So my dad and his partner ran both two different sides of the business, and at their age, neither one of them could take off because the other one couldn't support the workload. And we were pretty small time at that time. So the concept for me coming on board was I had corporate experience, management experience, that type of stuff, but I didn't have a lot of skill experience in the trades, even though
Hmm.
I grew up with my father who was a carpenter all of his life, right?
Mm.
So like it was funny because my dad did not want me to work for him and I did not want to
Mm.
work for my dad. So like there's a really interesting story about the first day I show up to work. He was like, I hope you mess up so I can put my foot, where in front of the group. So like that's how we started off, for like the first 6 months, he didn't even let me come in. He didn't even let me come in on time with the normal work staff. I had to come in an hour later. And, like the jobs that I had to do, learning how to do a construction trade, I started off in the nastiest, dirtiest houses, tearing out carpet and prepping and taping up houses to be painted. So I went from this suit and tie job in this high level corporate world position to the bottom of the rung and had to learn my way up into each skill, each trade. And I was able to do that by the grace of God. And yeah, we haven't looked back since. So
But now you have a pretty unique. By the way, if you're comfortable sharing, like just total sales or gross from your guys' last 12 months or whatever.
yeah, we're right at like 6.5.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, and your primary niche is military housing. So,
Yep.
what's that like? I mean, I would imagine dealing with the government is super smooth and easy all the time.
Well, how much time you got? No, yeah, it's a really unique balance. It's kind of a niche market. The big takeaway for military housing is we're not dealing directly with the government. We're dealing with a property management company that owns the military housing that reports to the government. Um, so with that, the basic process is this: soldier moves out, we go in, we make all the repairs, carpenter repairs, roof repairs, exterior repairs, interior repairs, get it ready for paint. We paint the house, then we general maintenance the house, and we get it ready for the next tenant. So it's just a consistent turn process. So what makes that interesting is we might get 3 houses today to do all that on, or we might get 60, and we have the same amount of time to do the volume of houses that we get. So what you run into is you run into a production paint, production maintenance, production repair style process or formula that you have to follow. And we've gotten really good at how to maximize efficiency in that process. So it's like drinking water from a fire hydrant is the best way I can describe it.
For some reason in my mind, I was thinking that it would be like dorm style stuff, but you're talking single family homes
Yeah, I'm
primarily.
talking single family homes.
Okay.
Yeah, everything from general's quarters down to, a sergeant's quarters. We have done work with the military as well as turning barracks, which are soldiers housing for like E1 through E4. So we've got experience with that, turning those buildings as well. But our primary focus is the military housing on the residential side.
Okay, what's the difference between a day with 3 houses and 60? Like, what is it, just like these things come in waves and people go from different bases, or what's the
Yeah,
reason?
so there's always consistent turnover in military housing. It's pretty consistent, but it's on a more manageable schedule. When you get into high volume, it's the months of May through the end of September, or sometimes even into October. It's called PCS season. It really depends on how much movement the government's going to have with their troops and assigning them to new base locations or new missions. So the volume goes from, painting or maintaining, let's call it 25 houses in a week, to all of a sudden tripling to 75 houses in a week in a period
Hmm.
of 2 weeks, and then you're in this rapid of production to where our volume is based on how quick they're moving people out and moving people in. So you
Hmm.
have to get really good at scheduling. And we have an in-house team of we're at 58 or 62 employees right now. So we do
Hmm.
all this work in-house with employees,
That
W-2
was going to be my
employees.
next question. I was imagining you must have like a baller sub network, but it sounds like that. So you can literally go from 3 to 60, and it's all your team.
Yeah, it's all of our team. So we have to get really good on processes, structure,
Yeah.
and scheduling. So, one of your questions, from what I'm looking at is like, what's the number one hurdle that you have right now? And it's infrastructure and structure and processes to make
Yeah.
sure that what we do is seamless. So that whether it's me looking at a job or our general maintenance worker looking at a job moving
Yeah.
bricks, he knows what the mission is and how to effectively and efficiently accomplish that goal.
Yeah. So do you guys, besides the military contracts, are you guys doing like single family new construction? Are you doing commercial stuff? What other kinds of things you guys do?
Yeah, so we are doing some of that. We also work in the multi-family housing in the civilian world, which would be like apartment complexes. We do everything that we do for the military base in the civilian world too, which that can get a little dicey as well. So the reason why I divided and conquered was at certain points in time in the season, the military will shut down production. They'll close the water spigot, so they'll close the
Hmm.
water tap. So I had to
Hmm.
find a way. I had to find a creative way for me to be able to keep a staff of 50 plus employees working, so that when the government cuts their tap back on, we can transition from here to there, and we're not trying to pull people in on off of unemployment or restaff or rehire. So we
Hmm.
had a unique balance of doing that. The multifamily in the civilian world with apartments is how we did that. But we're transitioning away from that a little bit now. So that world looks like this for us. We would go in, we paint their apartments, but that also opens us up to tap into larger style projects, apartment renovations. Like we might have a property management company that owns 5 apartment complexes in our area, and they say, hey, we want to do an upgrade to all 5 complexes, which could be 500 units, it could be 800 units, it could be 400 units. So we have the opportunity of bidding on those contracts, and then we pull the larger construction style jobs off of the relationships we have doing the day-to-day maintenance.
A lot of moving parts. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
imagine
dude.
like scheduling is like probably is your number one pain. But so let's talk about that for a second. So, skilled labor is without question top 2 or 3 biggest hurdles I hear for every contractor.
Yeah, same
Right.
here.
So,
Yep, same here.
do you have any hacks? Do you have any tips, tricks, secrets that you found with kind of overcoming that hurdle?
Uh, volume, volume, and dedication to your hiring process. So we started off. We were a company that exploded. Like I grew this business even before it was mine, with my father and his partner at the time, kicking and screaming. They didn't want any part of other than what we were doing on the military base. But I saw it being a scenario to where if we don't diversify our revenue streams, we're not going to have a sustainable business. So in doing that, there's been a lot of just putting square pegs in round holes, so to speak, on the hiring process. Because at that time, I was doing all that myself, from the
Right.
work to the hiring to the firing, all that stuff. So as far as like maturing in that department of hiring, we tap into all the the Indeeds, all the job finders and things along those lines. But one cool thing that's given us some efficiency to hiring was we created an incentive program, referral program for our employees. So if they refer anybody, they make it past our 60-day new hire process, then they get a bonus check. So that helped us a lot.
That's great. I don't know that I've heard that from a lot of so for what it's worth, everybody listening, like that's a great freaking idea to
Well,
get more skilled laborers. Yeah.
well, think about it. Like if you have somebody who's happy working for you and they're a skilled trade, most folks roll in the same pack, like they know other skilled trade folks. The hurdle there is getting an employee to recommend somebody without them feeling like their job is on the line if that person doesn't perform.
Yeah.
So, overcoming that hurdle, that comes just a lot of trust and a lot of faith from our employee.
Yeah.
But incentivizing them to assist in bringing somebody into employment with our company, that was a big benefit.
Okay. I love that. So let's go back to the sticking point for all of a sudden, or for a second. So you mentioned just the sticking point of the logistics and the scheduling. So what's, talk us through that a little bit.
So the scheduling we've by force of habit we've gotten really good at. That's one of the silver bullets that we have that allows us to be a lot more efficient and handle the volume compared to any other contractors that we're competing against in the world that we're working in. We've gotten really good at processes, really good at scheduling, but the process portion of that came slowly. So I would say in the last 4 years, almost 5 years now, for that period of time, we started off with a small CRM that helped us track work orders, because before that we were doing it all paper, right? Paper and Excel sheets. So we transitioned into a work order system that helped us with handling the workflow process for our invoices. And then as we started growing, we outgrew that work order system. So we're doing a new work order system now that we implemented last June. It's called SimPro. It's comparable to a lot of the other work order CRMs that are out there now. Helps us do scheduling. It helps us do expenses. It helps us do profit and loss. It helps us do all this, for instance, vehicle maintenance and fleet maintenance and those types of things, because we've got 30 vehicles that we also have for our employees. So like this CRM with SimPro helped us run more efficiently and handle the workload and the volume of processing the workflow, not just the scheduling portion of it.
Great. Let's talk about AI for a second. How are you using it? Where do you feel like you could be using it that you're not?
So the AI, that's a really interesting topic that I don't have a lot of information on yet. I would love to find out how AI could be used in our little niche market to help us streamline and run more efficiently.
Yeah.
I do not, other than working in, quotes and some estimates. We just started testing how that looks, running it through like Chat GPT. and things like that. But I haven't found a way, or I haven't been educated on a way to fully integrate that into what we're doing, because I can already see it making a huge impact for automizing potential communications with customers, helping us
Yeah.
schedule within our work order system,
Yeah.
running bids and quotes and things like that. I just don't have the knowledge on how to execute that properly yet.
Well, I'm here for it. That's what we do.
Perfect.
Wink,
Man.
wink. Great.
Wink,
Yeah,
wink.
we're here for it. All right, let's what's something we haven't talked about today that gets you fired up? Could be ruck stuff, it could be, what's been on your mind lately?
I will tell you this, that June of last year, I fully surrendered my company to God. So he is actively working in what we're doing here. And when I say that, I say my company, but it's really his company. The money that we make here is not my money, it's his money. Because I was getting to a point during a buyout of my partner and a retirement of him, to where it was starting to get ugly. And it was starting with the way we were growing our business and what we were trying to accomplish. That particular situation started getting a little muddy. And I was at a point where I was no longer able to do it and do it on my own. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So like I was able to fully bring God into what we're doing here at JPS, where it's his company and I'm just his vessel. He tells me what to do and how to do it, and I'm here to execute it. So that was a big turning point for the growth of what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish here as a company. So that was something that I felt like should be highlighted, as inviting God into your business.
Does that seem to have been a good decision?
Fantastic decision. It helped me start processing things differently, to where, like we learned in the Forge, a win-win scenario versus a win-loss scenario. And when I brought God into that balance and asked him to show me how to create a win-win situation for the partner buyout, things started falling into place that it's very difficult to describe, other than saying things just started happening the way they were supposed to happen on his timeline and not my timeline. So I went from putting a square peg in a round hole to putting a round peg in a round hole, if that makes sense. Things started happening the way they were supposed to happen, not to my timeline, but his timeline. And that's a unique thing to try to describe, because unless you really experience that, it sounds like words, it sounds like a fairy tale, but like there's a process there, and I've been able to walk that path a little bit. So
that's great. I mean, it just, as you were talking, I was thinking, like, Jesus doesn't want to just be our savior. He wants to be our Lord. Right. And I know that a lot of business owners wrestle with control. Right. I know that, myself included, it's hard to surrender these things to God. And I was convicted, Skylar, the founder of Rise Up Kings, talked about praying for your business. I'm like, dude, I don't pray a lot for clients to come in. I just kind of like, I get out there and hustle, man. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And it's crazy when you actually, like, so for me, the number one goal I had this year was for my marriage to be at a 10. Right. Because if my marriage is at a 10, that means that my businesses are running well. That means that I'm present with my kids. And that means when, everything else has to work for my marriage to be at a 10.
For sure.
And my mentors always say, God is not just your father, he's your father-in-law. And so when I, on my good days, make a conscious effort to do my very best to pursue my wife, make her feel seen and heard, business just happens, bro. It's like crazy. It just, client comes in, didn't even, solicit, like whatever it is, like the Lord just provides. And so I'm with you there, man. I love that. I love that word.
Isn't it so cool to be able to experience that? Because trying to like convey the feeling that comes with that accomplishment, it's very difficult for me to do, to try to articulate what that means. So like you almost have to experience it to truly grasp that it is more than just words when you speak it,
Yeah. Amen. Well, Chris, if people want to learn more about who you are and what you do, where can they go? www.jpscontractinginc.com. Awesome. Well, guys, go check out what Chris is doing. I think there were a lot of great valuable lessons in our conversation on, scaling up work, on, the lordship of Christ, on getting big deals with big contracts. So I love it, man. Thanks so much don't go anywhere, because I want to chop it up, but thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.